we talk about this morning?
Can we talk about insight?
About?
Insight.
Inside.
Inside.
Sight.
No, insight.
Insight.
Yes.
An understanding.
Insight and understanding.
I wonder if we could continue where we began to touch upon the relationship between love and passion and suffering.
Love and
Love, passion,
passion.
suffering.
Suffering. Or rather complex question those are.
Could we also discuss further the image-making process and the self-image?
Image making process and thought. You know, the other day also, I'd like to say also, the other day at lunch, one of you said to me, "How do you know?" As I said, all following is very destructive. And in response to that, I was told, "How do you know?" May we go into that a little bit? And then also include all the other questions. I wonder if one realizes that each human being in us, the whole history of mankind is stored up. I wonder if you realize that in each one of us, the history of mankind, the past, all the suffering, pain, sorrow, affection, love, and fear, all the struggles is stored up in each one of us. And you might say, how do you know that? First, by observing what the world is like. What the world around us is like. The wars, the battles, the killing, the hatreds, the extraordinary violence, the division of nationalities with their economic problems, with their social problems separately. And also you see all the religions throughout the world have divided themselves up into Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam. So this constant breaking up, not only by geographically, but racially, nationally, in various religious divisions. Who has created all that? You understand my question? Who has created this division, these wars, this violence, hatred, fears, anxiety, all the rest of mankind? Who has brought this about? Huh? What do you say to that? Who do you think has brought this about? Come on. Huh?
The people through. Yes, I can see there is some part of history behind it because the parents will tell the children.
Who has created this division? These wars, the national divisions, the religious divisions. Who do you think has done it? Come on. People. Who are they? Us. Right? We. Our great-grandfathers, great-great-great-great-grandfathers, past generations, and the present generation, the future generation, I hope, or not, have created this world, haven't they? Huh? That is, we have created this. So all that is stored in us. That's our conditioning. You asked the other day, how can one be free of this conditioning? This conditioning is the result of man. Man's thoughts, man's feelings, man's anxieties, man's or woman's hopes, fears, all that which we have has created this world, isn't it? Hmm?
Do you mean to see the inheritance, or do you mean to see the education,
It has our education, everything we human beings have created in this world, technologically, socially, morally, religiously, all the gods, all the technological, everything man, human being has done this, created this, right?
In other words, the meaning, which you mean by it is stored. It is stored in us by education, not by inheritance factor.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, you said all this information is stored in us.
Look, okay, who has created these cathedrals? Man, human being. And who has created all the gods inside the cathedrals? Man. And who has created all the rituals in the cathedrals? Man. And who has divided the world into Hindus, Buddhists, and all the rest of it? Man. Human beings. So, we human beings have all the history of man or woman inside us.
But each generation of children thinks it's
Huh?
different. Each generation of children thinks it's different from the last, really different.
Somewhat different. They're much brighter. I mean, at your age, you ask questions which I wouldn't have dared to ask. I wouldn't even know how to ask when I was your age. I would be too frightened. I didn't know. But you are much brighter. But that doesn't mean you're not going to make the same mess as the rest of the world. Right?
Yes.
Eh,
What I was asking is that comes from the education. Or does it come from
come from
inheritance factor?
to education, tradition, all the do's and the don'ts of the parents. You follow, it's all, man has created this thing through education, through social environment, through economic environment, and so on, so on, so on. So if you observe that world and ask this question, who has created it? Naturally, you say man has created it. That's we, human beings. Then human beings also have created the leaders, the gurus, the priests. Right? Huh? So, we have set up authority. We are responsible for creating authorities because we live a disorderly life, right? Are you following all this? Does it interest you, all this? So we lead a disorderly life, and so somebody comes along and says, I'll tell you how to live orderly life. And we say, we'll follow him. Follow him in the sense, accept what he says, obey, conform to all that he's saying, which we have done for generations. And the new guru, or the Indian person coming from India or Japan, says, I'll tell you what to do. You're in such a mess. And we say, oh, well, tell us. And we listen, we like it because it's something different from what we have heard before. It may please us, and so on. We say, all right, we'll follow you. We'll obey you. We'll conform to what you say, which we have done for thousands of years. When the priests have said that, the Catholics and the Protestants and the Hindu priests have said, we'll tell you what to do. I wonder if you understand all this. So, by observing the outer, I relate it to my inner life, and I see the outer and the inner are the same. And out of that observation and listening to myself, I say, I know, this is so. Right? Are you doubtful about all this? So, I think it's important, if I may point out, how to read not only what the world is like, but also how to read our relationship to the world and find out if we are different from the world being all the things that man has done. That is his cruelty, his arrogance, his pride, his desire for success, security. All that he has created out there in the world is that different from what we want. You follow? So, by observing my relationship to the world, I discover I am the world. Right? I am arrogant. I hate. I'm violent. I'm a Hindu. I'm a Christian. I'm this. I'm that. Right? So by observing the outer and trying to find out my relationship to the outer, I discover I am the world. Right? Basically, of course, you have a brown hair or blonde hair or short or tall or pink and black or brown. That's not, I mean. That is biological, physiological difference. We are talking of the inner. The man who is in sorrow is exactly the same as in India, and so on. So I know in the sense, I have watched this thing happening around me for over 60 years, and I say, yes, I am the world. And if I change, I transform the consciousness of the people. I wonder if you understand that. You understand? No. If I change radically, basically, fundamentally, I affect the consciousness of the world, which is me. Right? So it becomes very important for a human being to psychologically undergo a deep revolution. Full stop. Right?
There's only one in so many millions. I mean, it's only one person in so many millions.
You're only one person. You are saying you won't affect the rest of the world, right? Is that it? Huh? Is that so, Tunke? Think it out. Is that so? No, you ask the question. If one human being fundamentally undergoes psychological revolution, his consciousness is totally different. And that consciousness may and should and will affect the rest of the consciousness of mankind. That's what I said it. And you say, what do you mean by that? Of course, how can one person, that's your question, isn't it? Oh, come on, Tunke.
I see what, I mean, if you take you as an example that even though you are only one person, but you have a great deal of influence in the world.
What?
I mean, it just come into my mind that if I'm taking you as an example of one person in the world, that I do admit that you have a great deal of influence. I mean, even though it's only one person.
You know, Assad in Syria, the president, you ever heard about, you've read in the paper? He is affecting the world, isn't he? Yes. Caesar affected the world. The priests in the name of Jesus have affected the world, right? Hitler has affected the world. Stalin has affected, one person has affected the consciousness of man. Lenin, and so on, so on, so on. Huh? Are you doubting this?
Go into a little bit more how that is transmitted? Because all the examples, except the priests, were heads of governments or revolutionaries, sociological heads of groups. But a person who isn't in that position,
Beg pardon?
a person who is not in that position of outward power, how does a, say, ordinary person affect if they are transformed? How do they affect others?
Surely, Socrates, he affected the thinking of the Athenians.
In other words, it's through talking outward.
Through talking, outward activity, in various different ways, they have affected mankind.
So the very fact of having been transformed or transformed oneself is
You affected much more radically. I wonder if you see this. Huh? Do you see this or no? Huh?
Yeah, but suppose that the person who is transformed doesn't talk at all, as Krishnamurti said. So would he have any effect?
No, you, Tunki, just listen, find out. Not from me. Watch it, observe what is happening in the world. Mrs. Gandhi in India, the Prime Minister, is affecting the world. Right? Religiously, the Buddha has affected the world. Right? The Buddhist monks spread all over Asia. Right? So, in the name of Jesus or Christ, the priests have affected the religious thinking of the West. So, if you fundamentally transform yourself psychologically, that is your change in consciousness, you affect the world much more. Don't you? Huh? Don't you see this? No? He's uncertain about it.
Well, it seems that the people you're mentioning are just all have some outward power in the first place.
No, not only outward power, by what they say,
But if you didn't say anything,
by their action. If you didn't say anything and went retired from the world and lived in a monastery, of course you wouldn't affect the world. And never spoke, never had any relationship with the world, you follow? But that's, you may affect, I won't enter into something completely different. Huh?
How long can this last? I mean, a person who's transformed. I mean, this is just a passing generation. I mean, how long does the essence of the thing last? I mean,
Look, aren't you affected by what is being said?
yes, sir, but when you say the world, it does not just mean now.
I said, I said consciousness of the world. Not politically, not immediately, not religious, but consciousness. You understand? The way they think, the way they feel. That has. What is the difficulty in this? Do you see the truth of this? That you are the world, and the world is you, and if you radically, psychologically change, you affect the consciousness of the world. That's so clear.
It may seem somewhat intangible to certain people how this comes about, because it's a rather a fine point in a sense.
It is.
The psychological, there's not an evident equation between the psychological and the external.
Look, sir, a person like the Buddha has affected the thinking or religious life of people, haven't they? For generations. They may have twisted it, they may have corrupted it, what he said, but it has affected the people. So I say to myself, if I change, in that sense, I do affect the people, the consciousness of the world. It may not be immediately observable.
One of the people you mentioned, Caesar and Sadat and Hitler and all the rest, they're in great positions of influence and power, but none of them are just given that. They have to work for that. They have to have a tremendous energy to do that.
That's it.
I mean, even if they're completely bent, like Hitler, that man was capable of marshalling up a tremendous amount of personal energy to do that.
He was.
Now,
Wait, that is,
where does that
wait,
come from?
all neurotics have tremendous energy.
Well, some do, yes.
I mean, highly bent ones.
Yeah. Sometimes what you're saying, I think, is that energy can come from a delusion.
From a delusion.
Right. And those people who have that sometimes feel that they are right. It's called righteousness.
Yes, and work for it.
And they work for it.
Yeah.
And everything else in comparison is less importance to them.
Right.
Now,
But in the same way, if you're not neurotic, if you're not bent, if you're whole, you've got tremendous, much more energy than the other fellow has, than the neurotic.
but, the question it seems to come to my mind is that here we are. If we feel some energy to do this, what is it that's going to make us absolutely clear that it's not energy of
Illusion.
neurotic energy?
It's not the energy of illusion,
Right.
but the energy of truth. Would we put this way? Energy of illusion, right? And the energy of truth.
Right. Because the people who are in illusion think that they are connected to truth.
I know.
That's
So that's why we have to go very carefully into the matter of knowing oneself and all the rest of it, self-knowledge and all that. So there is, we are learning something. There is the energy of illusion and the energy of truth. Now, how do we know that we have not got the energy of illusion? How do you find out? By questioning the very thing which you think is real. Questioning the very thing from which you derive energy. What creates illusion? Are you interested in all this? Or we talk? What creates illusion? What brings about a mind which is caught in some kind of fancy, romantic, mystic, I won't use romantic illusion, fancy? Why is such a mind caught in it? What is the cause of it? Come on, come on. Look, don't go to sleep. It's also your problem. What do you think? Hitler, we'll take that example for a moment. He had great energy. He derived that energy by saying to himself, I represent the German and so on, so on, so on, and that was an illusion. Now, how do you know, how do I know that I'm not caught in an illusion? Right? Is that what you're asking me?
No, not particularly.
No, I'm good enough. Why is a man trapped in an illusion? That is, illusion, nationalism is an illusion. Belief is an illusion, right? I believe, God, I believe in Jesus, I believe in something. That's an illusion, right? Or not? Huh? No. Can a man who is caught in an illusion realize he's caught in it? You understand? Suppose I'm caught in an illusion. How will I know that I've... I believe tremendously in what? No, that I no. There is a great deal of truth in that, but let's get beyond that.
Some of these things are very subtle. That it's not clear whether something is fact or whether it is illusion. I mean, that's when it gets down to
All right.
Fact and illusion. It's very difficult.
Yeah, fact and illusion. What is a fact?
Well, there's the dictionary. We could look it up in the dictionary, and it would, as I recall from your discussion, it's something that fact is something that is made.
Fact that is made, that is observable by many, though they may give it different names, by actually what is. Right?
It seems that way, yes.
Yes. So this is what is. I won't call that a giraffe, but I'll call that, because we have all agreed, that's a microphone. But if we all agree that's a giraffe, I'll say it's a giraffe. Yes, I mean, and what is? That's not an illusion. When there is an observation of actually what is, it doesn't create illusion. Right?
So maybe the difficulty is in observance?
No, in not only in observing, but is it possible to observe without distortion? Where there is distortion, there is illusion.
Well, it seems to be a fact, I have to put it that way. Psychologists seem to have convinced themselves that people, because of their frame of mind, you want your football team to win, for instance. You feel very identified with that football team. And you might be watching the game and see, and you think that that person touched the football before it went out. It may not have happened, but that's the way you actually see it. Your mind, it apparently has been shown in these tests that a person can see what he wants to see. That his whole desire.
So that's the point.
Even more than that, what he sees.
So desire creates illusion. Right? Huh?
There can only be clear observation if there is no desire at all.
No. Do we first agree that desire creates illusion? I desire to be safe. Right? I desire for security, psychologically. Inwardly, I desire to be secure. And I attach myself to an idea. Because the idea, I believe in, I like it, it gives me security. So, my desire for security makes me cling to a belief which is romantic, but not actual. Therefore, it's illusory. Right? So, have I desire to be something? To find security psychologically in you. If I have a desire to have security psychologically in you, then I am creating an illusion right away.
Moving on to looking at desire, is that implication that what is, the fact, is often a subject of confusion?
What is? I want to escape from it.
We want to find out what it is. Not
First,
what
I
it is.
see what is. I see that I'm very lonely. That's a fact. And I want to escape from it. I'm frightened of this loneliness. So I run away from it. The running away from it is the factor of illusion. I don't say, well, what is? I'll look at what is. I want security because I'm lonely. The fact is I'm lonely. And to escape from the loneliness into some form of security, safety, is illusion. And that's clear. Huh?
Telepathy, how would you know what it is?
What?
I mean,
Telepathy? Reading one's thoughts? Is that what you're talking? I don't know what you said, sorry.
How does one know what telepathy is?
Are we discussing, wait a minute, are we discussing what is or
It's two discussions, I think.
are you carrying on your own discussion or are you joining with us?
Joe mentioned telepathy.
What?
Joe mentioned telepathy.
Yes.
Suggested
Do you want to discuss telepathy? Huh? Oh,
About the fact and illusion, how can you
Distinguish the two?
no.
Well, maybe, do you mean that, how can you...
I think she means how can one mind contact another
No.
in order to benefit.
There is not an illusion.
Between fact and illusion.
Well, I didn't want to.
no, I think we're better leave that
Red
subject
herring,
alone
yeah.
for a while.
That's impossible for us to go into this. But what I was suggesting with that poor example was continuing with how this started. That over the centuries, over the millennia, man has developed in different parts of the world different ways of thinking and approaching, the so-called stream of consciousness. And because of where we happen to be born, and with the people we happen to live with, we pick that up very subtly in our language, in the books we read, the way people treat us, the way we do everything, the cultures, the traditions of the country give us a certain feeling for what is. That's what our belief, in other words. We have a belief, and we cannot, unless we're very alert and sensitive, which is what I hope we could discuss. How do we come to see, being in all that, starting with that confusion that's been handed down to us? How can we sort out, what is a fact in all of that, and what is just merely the mind of man churning out junk?
You come along and tell me that. You come along and I'm confused. I don't know the fact, what is fact and what is illusion. I don't know. You come along and begin to talk to me, if I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to listen to you. So you point out all the dangers and the illusions and the destructive nature of belief. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to find out. Right? I've already learned how to listen to what you're saying. So I begin to come out of my illusion by listening to you, by talking to you, by having a discussion, having a dialogue, hearing you talk, and so on, so on. I see in what you're saying the truth of myself, that I'm confused, that I refuse to see the fact from illusion, because the illusion is much more pleasant than the fact, and so on. This is how all the time we're interchanging, so there is a change going on.
Are you saying in fact? Rather, in fact, there is no hesitancy, there's no confusion. There's just the fact without anything encroaching upon that.
So can I see something? Can I see myself as I actually am, without any distortion? When I'm angry, or when I say a lie, or when I'm afraid to see actually as it is, that I'm really frightened. That's a fact. But the distortion takes place when I move away from the fact. Is this clear? Are you moving away from the fact that you are frightened, which is a fact, and try to escape from it breeds confusion, breeds illusion. Right, sir? That's all. So a man who says, I don't want to live in an illusion, by listening to what you have said, I won't escape. I look at the fact. And you point out, the escape wastes your energy, which you need to look at the fact, and so on, so on.
So you're saying the fact is, I am an illusion. That is the fact. Maybe if one applies it to a Nazi or a Christian or
But
somebody
so
else.
when you say I am an illusion,
Yes, but one doesn't want to continue that illusion.
no, but how do you know that it is an illusion? Have you discovered for yourself that what you are, when you say I am, is an illusion? Have you discovered that? Or you merely repeat it after somebody has said it?
It seems to me that I only see certain levels when I'm alone, and I see a great deal more when I'm in relationship with other people of the coloured glasses I'm looking through.
So what?
So that I really need other people.
All right, have other people. Here we are. Ah, but you want a certain type of people.
No.
Here we are. We are related to you and you're related to us. Why do you say I need people? No.
Really my own conditioning.
No, you said I need people.
I see they show me my conditioning deeply.
I don't quite understand this.
Maybe through relationship you discover conditioning more than if
No,
you are.
Pinky, are you saying through relationship I see myself much more? Is that what you're saying? That's all, we all agree. So where are we?
That part which you said that I'm alone and I don't like to be alone, so I create an illusion in order not to be alone.
No, Pinky, he didn't say that. So now you understood when you said to me, how do you know? I've explained. And also, to say I know is also wrong. It stops you when you say I know. Do you understand? Huh? Doesn't it stop you when you say I know all about history? Huh? When you say I know history, that's the end of it. But if you are learning about history, it's endless. So it is dangerous to say, I know. You see that?
Because it will tend to believe it.
Yes. Yes, I know I am beautiful, or I am ugly, or I am you follow, you block yourself.
It seems almost impossible to say honestly, I am an illusion. And I think this goes back to a little while ago, I think we made a jump when you were talking about the difference between neurotic energy and energy. Because it seems that in our ordinary lives, we're rather like the curate's egg. You know, we seem to be good in parts, in the sense that sometimes there seems a wellspring of energy which is not, or does not seem to be, neurotic. It's very difficult to distinguish between fact and, in a sense, imagination or illusion, because, for instance, you can look at a chair and say this is fact, but if you want to start a school like Brockwood, at one stage, there is no fact of a school. Something has come into being.
I question it.
Something has come into being to make that school inside.
You see, that it is a fact that you need a school of this kind. Right? Though it has not taken place, though it is not materialized, it is a fact.
So is need,
Wait. Huh?
is need a fact? Because I can feel I need a crate of peaches. I mean, when we talk about the microphone, it seems that we all agree and that's a fact. But if we talk about need being a fact,
I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, I think perhaps to say
We're talking of two
fact,
different
not
things,
the first
sorry.
thing. Sorry. I think the energy seems to be there.
Look, Mrs. Cadavan, this is what we, isn't it? Somebody said, after observing what is going on in the educational area, field, somebody says, I see what is happening, that's wrong, it's not complete. There must be another kind of education. That's a fact. It has not taken place yet. You have not bought the building yet, you have not, etc., etc. But that's a fact. The observation, seeing what is actually going on in the world of education, and seeing that is not complete, and that is a fact. Then you work to create the other.
You say that energy arises from the fact, or from seeing
Yeah,
the fact.
that's right.
Of the fact of the need.
Are you interested in all this? No. Huh? I've gone to sleep.
Non-neurotic energy, you see a specific example that one can recognize.
Yes. So what's the question you asked? First question. Before I began talking about following and how do you know? Insight. Understanding, insight. Go on. What are the other questions you asked?
And thought and the image.
Thought and image. Now wait, let's take that and we'll come to... Why do you make an image of another? Why? You have image of others, haven't you? Why? Convenient, habit, go on, inquire into it, learn about it.
Because of the past?
What?
Because of the past? Because of the past.
Past, all right, go on, inquire. Don't just throw out words, but find out, explore, go into it. And my question was, why do we human beings create images about others? Oh, he's a Russian, he's a German, he's an Englishman, he's a black man, he's this, he's that. Why?
There's a mechanism of our brain, as a matter of fact.
What?
There's a mechanism of our brain.
Yes, so you're saying, is that what you actually found out? Or just saying, just get on with the conversation?
See, new person.
Okay, listen to what I'm asking. Are you saying this, that it's habit, it's convenience, just as a, or have you discovered it for yourself?
Well, yes, comes out of, well, when I look at it, it comes out of my mind. I mean, all this.
Tunki, I'm asking you something. Please tell me. When you say it's habit, did you discover it or repeat what somebody else has said about it?
No, I noticed it in
I asked, please, why do you have images? Tell me, please. Huh?
Person, you watch his idiosyncrasies and things, and you know that person. You can deal with it that way.
That is, when you say image, it is a convenient, it's a convenience, right? Then proceed, inquire more into it. It's a convenience. You can't have that if you don't know, if you say, I don't know you every day, it becomes rather silly after living together. So go on, inquire into it much more.
Is it something like a description?
A description.
Something like a description.
Yeah, a description. Oh, I know you. I have described you it's become a picture in my mind because it's habit, it's convenient, it is a recording in my brain, right? So go on, find out.
Anything which gives me a strong impulse, anything which gives me a strong experience, strong expression. I mean, it would be recorded.
I've recorded. I met Tunki 5 years ago. I've recorded it. It's convenient. It's habit. Go on, inquire into it. Don't stop there. I've said you have been angry with me, huh? And that's recorded. So when I meet you, I'm rather hesitant that you have been angry with me. I might be angry again. So go on, inquire.
Security. You want to.
So it offers you security.
Yeah.
So you can say at the end of it, habit, security, recognition, and so on. At the end of it, you say, I know you. Right? Why? Why must I say, I know you? Yes, I know you superficially, you understand? Because we met here last year. But when I say I know you, what does that imply?
That I know myself a bit. And that if I don't know you, then I may not know what I am.
Well, if you say you know me, then you're blocking yourself. How can you really know me?
Look, when you go back home, you recognize your mother, don't you? I hope you do, don't you? Or your father, right? You have an image about them, haven't you? Huh? Yes? Oh, come on, answer this. Why? I'm asking why. Not that you shouldn't have images. I'm asking, what is the process of the brain that makes images? It is natural. Yeah. A natural being convenient. Habit. Is this too difficult? Hmm?
Mostly the only means by which we communicate to each other, I mean, through this.
Are we saying it's the only means of communication?
Seems as if normally we communicate in that way. But there are those communication which is not of this.
Tunki, you're using the word communication. Do you know what that word means? To communicate. Can you communicate something you want to tell me if I'm looking out of the window? Huh? Tunke, I'm saying you want to tell me something, which is to communicate with me about something, right? And when I'm not paying attention to what you are saying, can you communicate with me? No. So, communication implies that I must pay attention to what you are saying. Hmm? Go on, next word. What does communication mean? I must listen to you. Hmm? Right? I mustn't distort what you are saying to suit myself. I must listen to you to find out what you are saying. Right? Which means I must be interested in what you're saying. Which means I cannot carry on a conversation with myself all the time while I'm listening to you. Right? It means I must pay attention to you, doesn't it? Right? And be interested in what you're saying. Right? And share with you what you're saying. All that is implied in that word communication. Right? Now, will you listen to what I have to say? I want to communicate with you, which means that you must pay attention, that you mustn't carry on conversation with yourself, that you must listen very carefully, not distort what the man is saying. Can you do that? Huh? All right. I say to you, why do you create images? For what reason? Is it because it's convenient, satisfying? It gives you a certain stability in relationship with the other? Though you may be married to me, and if you say, I don't know you really, it becomes it's a very disturbing factor. Right? Right? So you're always want to have a non-disturbing relationship with another. Therefore, one of the reasons is you create a picture about that person. Good. Huh? Have you listened to that? Huh? Now, what he is saying, is that a fact or just an illusion? Huh?
Of communication. I mean, you said that an image would make it non-disturbing.
Look, I have an image about the Pope, that he's a holy man, that he's extraordinarily bright, extraordinarily intelligent, and near God, near the highest. And when I meet him, I see just like any other person. Huh? I don't want that, to discover that he's just like anybody else. So I've created an image which is very satisfying to me. Oh, come on, this is so simple. I create an image about my father, my mother, my wife, which must be satisfactory. If it is not, it's very disturbing. That's all. And have you got image and therefore satisfied with it and afraid that it will be disturbed? Hmm? I believe, suppose I do, in Catholicism. And my parents are Catholic, and my grandmother or grandfather was Catholic, and that's the image they have given to me. If I throw that away, my relationship with my father, my mother, with my grandfather is very disturbing. But they believe, and I don't believe.
I have images, and I find them disturbing.
And
the other way around.
Other way, yes. And that is, they are disturbing. Do you want? Therefore, you are living in an illusion, aren't you? Hmm?
How am I to get rid of it?
How do you get rid of images? Not how. The how means a system, a method, a practice. Then that becomes another image. You want to find out how never to form an image, any kind of image, right? Image means pictures, conclusions, and a series of ideas which become real. So, how do you get rid of images? Tell me, come on.
The very fact that I'm listening and looking at you, I already have an image.
Of course.
So,
look, we are talking not physical image, of course, but we are talking of psychological, inward images we make about others.
With a certain connotation.
I make an image about you as an Indonesian, coming from Jakarta or whatever, right? And that image prevents me from looking at you. I say, yes, he's an Indonesian, get on with it. You understand? What? Of course, that's a physical fact.
So when does it become?
When it becomes, I have prejudices about Indonesians.
Yeah, so there is another factor which comes.
I have prejudice about being a Hindu or whatever it is. So the prejudice is my picture, which prevents me having any kind of relationship with another, full stop. Seems so simple, no? If I live in a world that is very capitalistic, and somebody calls me a communist, you follow, you get disturbed, don't you? Because you have a picture of a communist. So let's get on with it. Now, next question is, how do you stop making pictures?
You the connotation behind the image is the one which disturbs.
We've been through that. We've been through that, Tunki. I'm asking next question is, how do you, is it possible to stop making images? Is it? Come on. Huh?
Don't we have to really see that images are images? I mean, maybe that's part of the problem. That
Look,
we think the
I have an
are
image
real.
about you. that you're very clever or that you're very stupid. Image is a conclusion, isn't it? Now, I live with that conclusion and meet you. So I am already prejudiced against you. So that prejudice separates you and me. And I'm willing to fight you, I'm willing to kill you. In order not to fight, not to kill, not to have the eternal war between you and me, it is important that I should be free of images, conclusions about you. Right? That's all. Keep it very simple. Now, I have prejudices about you. Is it possible not to have prejudice against people? No? Huh?
She didn't understand the words.
Prejudice, prejudge people. I have concluded that all Italians are sentimental, or romantic. That's my conclusion. So when I have a prejudice of that kind, I'm against Italians, haven't I? Huh? That's all.
We are saying that the root is satisfaction.
The root is, I like to, it's part of my education, part of my environment, which says all communists, all Italians, all Germans, all English or Americans are stupid or very clever, or they really want to kill me. You follow?
Doesn't I understand satisfaction?
Yes. No, not only satisfaction, it is easy way of living. Right? Very easy way of living. Come to a conclusion that all Hindus are whatever it is. It's a conclusion, and it's easy to live that way.
In the short term.
Huh?
In the short term.
Of course, of course. I went up to town yesterday, and there were two Britishers, English people, sitting next to me. And they talked endlessly from the moment they got in the train at Petersfield till they left London, at Waterloo. And they never looked at me. They never talked to me. And probably they said, oh, well, he's that crack from Brockwood, and went on with their conversation, which is they have already a prejudice because of the color, and they have already come to a conclusion that people who live in Brockwood are connected with a little bit, okay? And so on, so on, so on.
Our thinking that they may think that way is also our image.
What?
Our thought that which say that those people may think that way. That
No. I said, it's okay. I just said this. I just was trying to point out how prejudices are created. And we stick to those prejudices because then I've finished with it. I don't examine. There's no learning. I don't want to find out what Brockwood really is, what kind of people really are, but I've dismissed them, saying they're a little bit touched. They're a little bit odd people. That's all. You're all rather bored, aren't you?
How do you know they were prejudiced?
How do you know they were prejudiced? I don't. I said them. Forget them, for heaven's sake. Haven't you got prejudices about people? Huh? No?
I don't know till I'm in relationship with
Oh, for goodness sake, you don't have to be in relationship with me to know, or you don't like brown people or black people or white people or pink people.
Yes, but that's all still springing from me. And in fact, when I meet someone quite different perception, then there's movement and there's a whole mass of questions and don't know.
You may never come into contact or relationship with a communist, but you have prejudices about him already.
Yes, but on that level I can see that.
That's all I'm talking at that level only, at the time for the time. So there is that level, superficial level. Can you go deeper and say, look, why have I these prejudices about anything? If you want to go into very deeply, why does thought is always in operation? You understand my question? Why is thinking a constant movement? You understand? Are you interested in this? Huh? Have you noticed in yourself that you're always thinking about something or other? About your hair, about your looks, about what somebody said, that you must polish your shoes, that you must do this, you must do that, or I'm going to be very nice to meet that man tomorrow. You follow? Chattering all the time. Have you noticed that? Huh? Then have you asked why?
It's the result of education.
Huh?
It's the result of the surrounding, the education.
Any?
The result of the surrounding, the education, the whole...
I'm asking you, Tunki, why is your brain always in activity? And because it's constantly in operation, you don't listen, you don't observe, you don't see. Right? So, is it possible to stop chattering? Not verbally, but actually stop this movement of chatter. Huh? If you can stop it, then you won't form images. You follow? You see that? Can you stop your chattering? Go on, sir. Find out. Learn about it. Yes. So you say unresolved problem. Therefore, why do you carry on? Resolve them.
Thinking, sir, chattering seems to prevent the solving, to prevent the actual looking of the problems. It's almost as though it's a safety mechanism that thought revolves so that one finds it quite difficult to actually look at the situation.
But his question was, you have unresolved problems, right? Why don't you resolve them immediately? But carry on and on and on and on all the time.
When the mind is challenged.
No, I have a problem. That I think I'm a great man and you have pulled me down. And I get angry. That's a problem. Now, why don't I end it instead of carrying it on day after day? You understand my question? Why? Have you got problems? Why don't you end them? Just be free of, so that your mind or your brain can look at something else instead of always your problem.
Because I'm not in that level of energy.
Oh no. Suppose I said, look, you will have plenty of energy if you drop your problems. I read something which interests me. I don't make it a problem. I want to go into it. I want to find out if it is true or false. I want to inquire very, very deeply into it. I don't make it into a problem. Right? Huh? Now, in the same way, I have a problem, which is unresolved action or unresolved thought, unresolved emotion. I'm separating them for the moment, they're all the same. Why don't I sit at that moment when I have a problem, work at it, you follow, and resolve it?
There seem to be two kinds of problems, Krishnaji. If there's a broken door and that's a problem, I can fix it.
Yeah.
But then there are problems that are created by thought itself.
Yes.
And those are problems that I can't quite see clearly because
Therefore, I have to inquire, thought has created this problem. Huh? Can thought stop creating problems? Which means, can thought stop? You don't go into it.
Even before thought, it seems that the problems which seem to involve other people, and I'm conditioned and the other person is conditioned. So how does one resolve this kind of problem?
I'm conditioned and you're conditioned. We meet. Our conditions react. And I observe, please, I observe very carefully that in contact with you, my condition reacts. Right? I'm aware of that reaction. So I say, can that reaction stop? Which means, can that conditioning stop? I inquire, push. I don't say, well, can it stop and go to sleep? Can that conditioning, which was indicated by the response in contact with your conditioning, can that conditioning be dissolved? So I say, what is conditioning? Conditioning is a prejudice, one kind of prejudice, education and so on, so on. So a prejudice. Can I really live without any prejudice? Of course you can if you go into it. Well, we better stop. No? Now, if may I ask something, what have you learned this morning? Have you learned anything at all? Or are you the same as when you entered this hall? Is there a change in you, or as you were before, or you are beginning to have an insight into what has been said. Insight. That is, you have understood very carefully, deeply what has been said. And because you have that insight, it's like a seed. You know, you put in the earth and it grows, it multiplies. So if you have that insight, it will operate, it will work. Have you understood what I've said? Well, that's enough, right? Are you hungry? Stop. All right, may I stop?